Hello everyone, it's that time again, the preview show delivered by FedEx Racing. I'm your host, Alan Cavana, and joining me this week from NASCAR.com, writer David Caravello. How you doing, David?
Alan, no al fresco setting this week, no pizza burgers, no cheese balls. It's taking me a little while to get used to all this.
Yeah, last week we were on location in Eldora. Now we're here back in Charlotte bringing you our preview show, and we're coming off the Brickyard. And it was a good race to the end in terms of not knowing who was going to make it to the end, and with different pit strategy. Ultimately, Ryan Newman is able to kiss the bricks, and Ryan Newman is a driver who doesn't have a ride right now for next year. So talk about timing. What does this win do for his prospects next year?
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt, Alan, but I think, as we all know, a lot of where a driver may end up next year depends on other pieces moving around, and we still don't know, say, what Richard Childress Racing may look like next year. We don't know what Kurt Busch and Furniture Row might do. So, as good as Ryan Newman is trending right now, he still needs other things to happen to firm up an opening for him. Now, certainly this does not hurt. This is a guy who now has the two crown jewels of the sport. He's won the Daytona 500, he's won at the Brickyard, and he's won races 4 years in a row now, which for a team or a sponsor looking for a guy who can get him to victory lane on a rather consistent basis cannot hurt.
Well, the Brickyard, nice to Ryan Newman, not so kind to defending Sprint Cup Series champion Brad Keselowski. Keselowski, he led it a few times during the race, but was never really a contender and ended up finishing 21st. And on the radio, you don't hear this a lot from Brad, but we heard frustration on the radio. And then afterwards, we heard worry about how his team is performing. What is plaguing the two team this year?
I think in Indianapolis, Alan, they just ended up on the wrong side of the strategy game, came up 11 laps short on fuel, had to pit to mitigate whatever they would have lost. They didn't want to take a huge, huge hit if they would have tried to stay out there and not made it. Alan, I think earlier in the year, this was a team that had everything thrown at it. They had mechanical difficulties, they had suspensions, they had penalties. Through it all, the car was fast. They're not having that other stuff, but the car's not as fast on a consistent basis. Best finish of 21st in 4 of their last 5 races. So to use a baseball team term, they're playing their worst ball at the worst time of the year, and they absolutely need to turn that around to try to make the chase.
And let's look at where the standings are right now, because that performance from Keselowski dropped him 4 spots all the way down to 13th. Now, if there's any silver lining to that, it's that Greg Biffle also had a bad run, and he's in 8th, which means the separation between 8th and 13th in points is only 12. 12 markers, 12 positions on the racetrack is all you have to do from being out of the chase to guaranteeing yourself a spot in the chase. So with it being so close, David, at any point do any of these teams right on that bubble start thinking consistency rather than risking it all for a win?
I think you saw that at the Brickyard. I think by Brad coming in instead of trying to ride it out those last 11 laps and make it on fuel. It's a balance right now. Ryan Newman's win absolutely complicates this, because now you have another driver with a victory on the chase bubble. It could very well come down to 2 guys who have race wins trying to get those 2 wildcard berths, and that comes down to the points positions between all the guys with wins. You've got to know when to be aggressive and when not to be, because those points positions still matter.
And certainly where we're going this weekend, we'll jumble things up again. We're heading to Pocono again. And not long ago, Jimmy Johnson earlier this year dominated and won the race. Should we expect anything different this weekend?
Jimmy Johnson was dominant in June, but only 2 drivers, Alan, at Pocono last time led double-digit laps. One of them was Jimmy Johnson, the other one was Ryan Newman. Certainly, you perhaps see the scenario that we have another Jimmy versus Ryan showdown, just like we did at the Brickyard, which was certainly fun last week, and so maybe we'll get that again.
All right, we know Jimmy's good there. Ryan had a good run last time, but who is your pick to win this weekend in Pocono?
Alan, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm taking NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wake up the kids.
I can hear it.
Get the dogs and the cats, put them all in front of the television on Sunday. This is when it happens. Alan, 3rd there in June, had a race he probably could have won there last year if he hadn't had to stop on fuel. There's positivity all the time. They're trending in the right direction. This is when it happens, I think. I think the planets align Sunday in Long Pond, Pennsylvania.
Align they do, because for the first time in preview show history, we both agree.
Amazing.
We picked the same driver, unbeknownst to each other. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. can win as well. He had a good run at the Brickyard, overcame all that adversity, and he's good at Pocono. 4 of his last 5 races there. He's been in the top 10, so I think if there's ever a weekend, if confidence is ever running high, we agree. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to win this weekend, so start celebrating now.
Must have been the pizza burgers.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's preview show delivered by FedEx. For David Caravello, I'm Alan Cavana. Enjoy the Dale Earnhardt Jr. victory this weekend. Maybe. Enjoy it, everybody.